Hello everyone, Snipe Trading here, and today is Friday, May 7th, and I'll be going over my recap for today. So today I made a total of $922 between my two brokers. 962 of that was from my Thinkorswim TD Ameritrade account, and the other $40 loss was from my TradeZero account, which I took one trade there on LMFA. So I'll be going over each trade, but before that, I would like to show you my two strategies that I trade for those of you that are watching me for the first time. So look at two setups, the long side, which is a flag pennant setup where prior resistance becomes support, and then you get a lower high to form a flag, and then you take the break of the flag line and then taking the stop at that prior low. On the short side, where you can see a great example of that, is the inverted cup and handle. So you see an extension and then a little cup and then a little handle, and then you take a short on that cup line break and risking your stop at the prior low of the high, of the prior high. Let's get to it. We'll go over each trade for today, and the first one we'll go over is NKLA NKLA, which is my biggest win of the day. So NKLA, you can see here, it was getting extended on the 1 minute chart, and on the 5 minute chart, it hasn't retested the 5 minute trend yet. So if you pull up the 5 minute chart, you can see it has not tested the 5 minute trend, and this is where I took the short to the reversion to the 5 minute 9 EMA trend. So as you can see, the little high of day break here, pretty much high of day fell, and then you can see a little inverted cup and handle forming right here. So the little cup, little inverted handle, took it short, and that's where I cover. Took a short there. There's a little wick, but it took a few minutes or 1 minute before it broke lower. Took some covers and then covered majority on the 5 minute 9 AMA, since we would expect a bounce off the 5 minute 9 AMA. And then here I went ahead and looked for the 5 minute flag. So if I draw that line there, you can see a 5 minute flag forming. Here's the breakout of the 5 minute flag, and again it failed to hold higher. So if this would have been a successful flag breakout, it would have held a higher high and a higher low. So here it failed, and here I was confident to re-add my short position, and this was for the 5 minute flag break. So you can see here, turn on my trades. I can't turn on trades on the 5 minute chart, but you can see the same pattern, inverted cup and handle on the 5 minute chart. Took that short there, re-add, and then where did it go to? It went down to the 15 minute target. So here's the 15 minute chart, and it went all the way down to test at the 15 minute chart. So exactly played out how I wanted, and you can see I took a reshort there, took some covers, reshort, expecting a retest on the 15 minute. So it tagged it there by, off by a couple pennies there before rebounding on the 15 minute chart. So it's important to understand where your target is, because there are other 15 minute chart buyers that are dip buyers that are willing to dip buy this back up. As well as shorts like myself covering at the same location. But you can see it started kind of consolidating, and it was expected to retest the hourly. This is the hourly chart, and you can see the extension on the 9 EMA. Eventually, the last 2 hours of the day, it retested the 9 EMA here, and you got a rebound. So it looks healthy for a move higher after it has done this. So that was NKLA for a $415 win there, and it was a great example of the inverted cup and handle play, and looking for that fail follow through as conviction to hold. So the first one was the fail high of daybreak inverted cup and handle. So that what got me short. And then the next one was the 5-minute flag break that didn't go higher, and that got me conviction to re-short this inverted cup and handle, right? Back down to the 15-minute chart and understanding where that target is, where the anticipation is dip buyers on the 15-minute time frame players will take a shot at. So that was Nikola for a great win there. Next trade is OCGN. So OCGN was a $161 win here, and it was a similar concept. It was a fail flag around. You could draw the flag like this way. It was a fail flag here. On the 15-minute chart, on the 5-minute chart, had a little run here. It failed to hold a higher high and higher low. And what it ended up doing is holding a inverted cup and handle and broke there. But unfortunately, it had the 15-minute trend just right below it. So there wasn't a lot of meat to this move, but the wrist was tight enough where you can potentially grab a nice little quick scalp there. But potentially this move could be a big move had it kind of just break through and through the 15-minute trend as well on that break here. So I took a break there and took some shorts, and it looks like it trapped a lot of shorts there from the 15-minute or 5-minute wick right here. I think there was a few candles that went below, and I think it trapped shorts and it had that little next leg up there for OCGN. But that was a quick little scalp there for $161 win on that short on this inverted cup and handle trend line break, short, and then cover. Next trade was PHIO. So PHIO had a nice little cup and handle forming. My first trade here was for a small win. I had the right intention. I just didn't like this first candle, which got me kind of panicked a little bit and took me out for just a small win. But I had a nice entry here. You can see higher lows forming, and then a little cup and handle. Also a little cup and handle here. But definitely this was a nice breakout on this 255 area. I took along there. It went up pretty much 10 cents. So it would have been a nice little win had I held this. But it had a little wick candle here that panicked me out. So I took it off there and it went to VWAP and consolidated for a while. It ended up kind of holding above VWAP and creating this huge cup and handle pattern. I had a line drawn here, and this 272 break was a level of interest. So I went ahead and scaled in a little bit here towards after or towards the end of the market when it was breaking kind of this head and shoulders or cup and handle pattern. So I went in here as my first starter size, and I added a few more on anticipation of the break. And I held it after hours and it broke 272, so I added a few more there, and I sold into the push there around 283, which was towards the high of daybreak. It couldn't break high of days, but it would have been a nice little move had it kind of held this little dip and maybe break high of days. But it seems like it's a Friday afternoon, and there might not be enough volume there to drive that through. But that was a quick little win there. I went for $142 there on PHIO. Next trade is IHT. So IHT, this stock had a few signals. I had an opportunity to take a short here as well. I was watching this level on my trade zero account because I didn't have any shorts. But this was a lot more difficult to trade throughout the day here, at least in the beginning part of the day. But what I saw here was higher lows starting to form. So higher lows starting to form right here, and you got a little base off VWAP there as the top. So went ahead and looked for a long play there. So it was a small little risk. Sorry. All right, so it was a small little risk here. I was taking a 486 break, pretty much risking like for 79 or 78 or so. It was a pretty small risk here, and I just sold it into this push once it was reaching above this level, and then I took it off when it wasn't holding, because I didn't really trust it once it was approaching this prior resistance level. But it could have been a strong little VWAP squeeze where we've been seeing. But yeah, towards the end of the day, after this kind of fell flag, I would say consider this as a fell flag that longs took, and then there was another potential fell flag here that longs got stuck on, and it got washed down. Did a bear flag, and it had a nice little trend line here. So I almost took this short here around the 470 break or so, but I didn't have my locates ready. But that would have been a nice little move there on the 470 break for your target of your hourly. So still was on short bias there because the hourly was so extended. You can see the hourly was way down here while it was trading up here. You can see there's a huge gap, and the expectation is you get a candle with a correction on the downside to that 9 EMA. So that's IHT for a $133 win. Next trade is IBIO. So IBIO was a stock that was moving after hours yesterday and a little bit in the pre-market here. It went towards a high of $2. Had a nice little head and shoulder pattern here off the open. I usually don't trade the open, but that was a nice little move there. Had you captured that or an inverted cup and handle. But what I saw here was a kind of fell follow through after this push, and then it had a nice little kind of base of 162 or so. So this did have SSR on, so it was a little bit more tricky to take. But I had a low risk here, taking 162 break, stopping at 165 or so. So it was a nice little risk here. 165 stop, 162. So I'm only risking 3 cents per share. It dropped to a low of like 157. I had to cover around 159 or so to downsize, and then once this was topping out, I went ahead and covered a little bit more. The only problem with this was I took some more, added more shorts here, expecting the 157 to break. It did break by a penny there on that wick, and I didn't really like the action, so I went ahead and just covered right when it broke that 159 level for a $72 win. So it ended up being, the bottom there for quite some time. Had to retest the 15-minute chart because it was quite extended. I was also cautious because the 15-minute chart is extended, just like how I talk about on the upside, extending on the upside, this could be extending on the downside. So you can see these are trading down here. The 15-minute chart, which is the gray line, is up here, and it's expected to get retested on the upside. So I was a little cautious of that and wanted to cover before any of that happened, since that's quite a distance there. So that was a $72 win on IBIO. Next trade is EARS. So ears was a quick little scalp here. I was just expecting a more of a end of day squeeze because I think probably shorts were probably piled in here in the beginning of the day, and maybe towards the or beginning of the day and towards the end of the day we might see some covers, and I was seeing higher lows forming, starting to form, and I did end up buying a little piece here just in case this higher lows start breaking out and squeezing pretty widely, but it ended up not making a big move, and I just take a small little trade here with a small risk. I think I was taking a 336, risking 333, so I was just risking like 3 cents per share, and I probably captured like probably a penny and a half or 2 pennies there. But yeah, nonetheless, it's like just a small trade, just anticipating a little short squeeze at the end of the day. So that was ears. Next trade was TLRY. So TLRY had a nice little retest on the hourly chart here, as anticipated. There was a nice little, lower high, lower high, lower high starting to form here on the 5-minute chart. It did break down by a little bit here. So here was my break on the 15 or 1650s or so. It did break by 3 candles, but it couldn't hold the 5-minute chart below that. So it actually closed above it. So I had to take a stop there, and it was pretty much a flat trade, $2 win there. But I did take I think I wanted to get in a 1500 share short there. I got 117 filled, and I did take profits on that. You can see I got filled 1642s there on 300 shares, pretty much just right off this wicked low here. And then I end up taking a kind of stop break even up here. So anytime when it breaks down at your level, the expectation is it holds below that level. If it actually reclaims above that level and hold, that's where you need to get a little cautious and get ready to stop out, because it could be a short trap. So you can see the increase in volume on that new pivot low, and it didn't go lower. So you got to be a little cautious of that and take it off if it doesn't go immediately your way. So the thing about my strategy is, like, when I do go in, most of the time, like 90% of the time, instantly in the money. If it doesn't go instantly in the money, then that's when you know you're wrong, and you need to exit immediately and kind of reset and kind of reevaluate your position or patterns there. But yeah, I was short bias here on TLRY the whole day, but it didn't give me an exact setup, and the reason being, again, as I mentioned multiple times in this video, is the hourly chart. You had to look at the hourly chart towards the second half of the trading day. Most of the time, if it's extended, expect that reversal to the hourly chart correction on the 9 EMA on the hourly. So it did that perfectly, tapped there as a target. So potentially you can short on that hourly break low, but usually I try to time it where the 15-minute chart is. So this 15-minute chart, the best timing would be potentially maybe this here. You can see how lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, and then maybe taking a break there, risking these highs. So that was probably the best play, but it wasn't like a tight risk. I think this was like a 20-cent risk. I always want another tight risk, maybe 10-cent risk, before taking that trade. So that was TLRY. It was just a flat trade there of $2. And then my last trade here, I think was famous ACST. So ACST, I think I was in at the same time as my OCGN trade, and I just wanted to take it off flat. no reason than just I didn't want to watch too many tickers. But I did take a short here around 49 cents. It did wash by a cent here. I had 20,000 shares short. This candle here had like a huge wick, and it was almost instantaneous. I feel like it might have been a fake print or something. But I just covered here for like a $6 loss. But it did went down a penny there, so it would have been like a $150 to $200 win there. But it did bounce back a bit there afterwards. But I took it off because I was managing one of my other trades on my other screen there. But I think because of this wick, it broke this trend line, and I was a little cautious and was like, okay, I'm just gonna take it off for flat there. So that's ACST. And then on my trade zero count was LMFA. So LMFA, let me pull that chart up. So switch to this. All right, so LFMA, I had the right idea. This was way extended, like I mentioned a few times. It probably feel like a broken record, but second half of the day, what do you see? Extension, and expect that correction to the hourly chart. So this is the 9 EMA right on the hourly chart, and it is correcting back down to there. So it doesn't always happen, but it will keep you, from going long or chasing into things that are extended. So I have that in my back of my mind, and what did I look for? I was more short bias because of that. And I did take a short here on LMFA, and I took a loss. So I took a short here because there was a I don't know why this broker is lagging, but there was a inverted cup and handle for me here. I took a short there. It had a little pop that took me out right here, but once that popped up and didn't go higher, and pretty much went lower from there, but it took me out. You can see a little bit of volume there, and then I took a stop, and then pretty much a few moments later, that's where the crash happened for that 15-minute or the hourly correction. But yeah, have the right, idea, just not the right timing. And in the chart, you can see it had a really nice baseline. You draw on the, let me go to my, I think it's a little easier to draw on here. Yeah, so I had a trend line here. So I use trend lines on my Thinkorswim platform, and I just trade on my trade zero, level 2. But you have a nice little trend line here, and this is where it broke, and then this is where I enter short, and then it popped up, it squeezed me out. I stopped around here, and a few moments later it crashed. And then it went straight down to the hourly. All right, going to the hourly chart, pretty much straight down to the hourly. So yeah, so between my two brokers, up $922 between my TD Ameritrade and my Trade Zero account. And definitely yesterday was a wake-up call to remember to just stick to my strategy and what is working. And yeah, just to remind myself that not to do what I did before. So I brought in my kind of A game today and traded flawlessly, a little bit better, but hopefully I can carry that over to next week. Ending the week slightly green, so that's a plus, but hopefully next week brings us more opportunities. All right, thank you everyone for tuning in and sticking around towards the end here of the video and recap. But if you haven't done so, be sure to hit the subscribe and like button so you are aware of the new videos coming out. And I'll see you guys next week. All right, have a good weekend. Bye, guys.